Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're literally going to rewrite how you experience your own mind. We're talking about a massive paradigm shift around two things that absolutely drain us every single day: decision fatigue and the crushing weight of making mistakes. Seriously, if you've ever felt completely wiped out by your own thoughts or kind of paralyzed by the fear of doing the wrong thing, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to look at how a simple shift in how you process things can turn these everyday frustrations into actual biological brain upgrades. Let's get right into it. So let's start with a scenario we all know a little too well. It's 6 p.m., you've been working all day, and someone asks you, "Hey, what do you want for dinner?" And suddenly, picking between tacos and pasta feels like you're trying to solve advanced calculus. I mean, why does choosing dinner sometimes feel way more exhausting than a full day of work? Well, it's not just simple indecision. This is a real biological phenomenon known as choice overload. Basically, your executive function, that highly complex system in your brain used for planning and reasoning, is actively being hijacked. Every single tiny choice you make throughout the day chips away at your mental bandwidth until eventually you're just running on empty. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how that exact same mental exhaustion links perfectly to the physical reaction we get when we mess up. Think about it for a second. Have you ever felt that sinking, nauseating feeling right in the pit of your stomach right after you've made a massive mistake? Yeah, we've all been there. Most of us were taught from a super young age that failure is a glaring sign of weakness, undeniable proof that we just don't have what it takes. So we end up combining the pure exhaustion of making decisions with the absolute terror of making the wrong one, and our brains basically short circuit. But the field of psychology, it views this entirely differently. Okay, let's dive into this section 1, the choice overload hijack. To actually stop this hijack from happening, we really need to look at the biological reality of our daily mental exhaustion. We have to understand what the brain is actually doing when it's under pressure and out of juice. Take a look at this comparison here. On the left, we've got emotional survival mode, when your executive function is completely drained from choice overload or from that fear of making a mistake. Your untrained mind automatically defaults right here. It reacts instantly with frustration, and it's desperately seeking immediate comfort. But then, on the right, we have reasoning mode. This is a much more structured approach that drastically improves delayed gratification and the overall quality of your decision-making. So the secret to bridging these two? It's simply recognizing that the discomfort you feel isn't a sign to just throw in the towel. It's actually a biological prompt to switch modes. And that brings us to section 2, the focused struggle. We're pivoting now to the actual mechanics of your brain, because here is the paradigm-shifting research you really need to hear. Your intelligence, it is not fixed. Most people just assume they're stuck with whatever brain power they were born with. But research shows your IQ can actually increase when you train how your brain thinks through neuroplasticity. That's the biological process where your brain builds brand new neural connections specifically in response to confusion and difficult tasks. So when you attempt something hard and you start to feel super frustrated because you're making mistakes, your brain enters what psychologists call a focused struggle. Listen, that confusion is not a sign that you are failing. It is a literal biological signal that your brain is changing, rewiring, and upgrading its physical structure. You aren't breaking down, you are literally leveling up. Let's keep this moving and jump into section 3, error-based learning. Think about it like this. A standard machine stays exactly the same until a human comes along and manually changes its code. But a high-functioning human mind, it acts a lot like the most advanced AI systems in the world. It actually thrives on bad data. Here's the exact framework of how error-based learning works. Step 1, you attempt a difficult task. Step 2, you inevitably hit that wall and experience that focus struggle we just talked about. Now, step 3 is the absolutely crucial point. This is where almost everyone quits. Instead of getting emotional, you just calmly review the wrong move. And step 4, your brain begins to recognize patterns in all that noise. By treating a wrong move as direct, objective feedback instead of some personal attack, your brain literally activates a faster way to improve its reasoning. It's basically a software update for your head. Which leads us directly to section 4, context building in chaos. So, when you successfully survive that focused struggle without defaulting back to emotional survival mode, something truly amazing happens the next time you face a similar problem. The first time you fail, yeah, you struggle. But the second time, your mind actually starts catching the warning signs a little bit earlier. You react with way less hesitation. And this brilliantly illustrates how a trained mind builds context. Look at these steps. Before making any decision, an upgraded brain tries to understand the full situation, identify what's connected, observe what's changing, and then predict what happens next.
Every single mistake you've ever made in your life is honestly just another piece of data, helping you build a clearer internal picture of the world. This is exactly why highly intelligent people often seem to think so incredibly fast in totally chaotic situations. They've just failed enough times to recognize what actually matters, which allows them to instantly ignore all the rest.
Let's slow things down just a bit for Section 5, mastering the logic gap. All right, so we've talked about choice fatigue and we've talked about error-based learning. The logic gap is the ultimate framework that bridges those two things together. It's that tiny space between making a mistake and having an emotional reaction, and it is exactly where you take back control. To truly boost your IQ and master that logic gap, you have to master metacognition. In psychology, this simply means thinking about your thinking. It's your ability to step completely outside of your own head, observe your thought processes, and overcome your ego. And to be honest, this requires immense cognitive flexibility, meaning the willingness to actually update your beliefs when new evidence shows up, instead of just stubbornly defending your original position.
I really want you to absorb this quote. What was I assuming? What if I'm wrong? Instead of immediately defending your ego when you make a mistake, a truly intelligent mind asks these exact questions. We really need to completely reframe how we view being incorrect. Actually, being willing to look someone dead in the eye and say, you know what, I was wrong, is not a sign of weakness. No way. It is the absolute hallmark of a mind that is flexible enough to learn faster than everyone else in the room.
So, what does this all mean for you? What should you take away from this explainer today? Well, here is your immediate actionable step. The very next time you mess up, whether it's blowing a massive project at work or literally just picking the wrong place for dinner, pause. Seriously, just pause. Do not let your brain instantly react with frustration and slip right back into that emotional survival mode. Shift into reasoning mode. Ask yourself why it happened. Look for the pattern. Remember, failure isn't what damages you. Avoiding reflection is what keeps you stuck. I'm going to leave you with a bit of a different, maybe unexpected request today. I want you to close this explainer, go out into the real world, and do something difficult. Seriously, go do something where you might actually fail. Prove to yourself that you can handle that focused struggle. Treat the bad data as feedback and come out smarter on the other side. Don't just scroll looking for your next quick dopamine hit. Choose to keep learning. Turn psychology into your greatest advantage. So, the final question is, are you ready for the focused struggle? Remember, your mistakes are not permanent marks against your character. They are literally just your brain's biological way of upgrading itself. Embrace the confusion, step right into that logic gap, and let the focused struggle begin. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.